Anti-GBV activists are frustrated with government for not protecting women and children. They say even survivors are left to fend for themselves. President Cyril Ramaphosa has admitted to the executive's failures during the presidential summit that's currently underway in Midrand. Now let's discuss all of this with anti-GBV activist Caroline Peters. Ms. Peters, good afternoon. Welcome to Today here on eNCA. Thank you very much for your time. The summit is on day 2. I just want to start there first. What's your impression so far about what has come out? Because you as activists, different organizations and individuals have come out very strongly to criticize the lack of implementation of the National Strategic Plan.
Yes, thank you, Dan. Yes, as you know, there's six pillars. And if we look back, 2018, exactly 4 years ago, we've been here also for 2 days. We've had we then had the presidential GBV summit. So this is summit number 2. And if we look at what has happened over the past 4 years, I mean, one of the things that came up yesterday, we see how we could change COVID, the pandemic. Our president has said before that GBV is a pandemic, but nothing has changed. In fact, sexual violence has increased by 32%. We had the National Acting Commissioner that came here that gave us a whole lot of bullshit figures. I mean, figures that was not right, working at the coalface of this on the Cape Flats. We know that the figures she presented. We then had the Minister, Becky Cele, that came on to the podium and said, well, the rape that they referred to as a serial rapist, you know, and just, I almost feel like it's been depressing. What they presented is not what we see, the difference. Our Minister of Social Development couldn't answer a question around what has happened to the money that was promised for the work on GBV. We do not see it making a difference in the lives of women and children where we work in communities. The violence on women's bodies has escalated. We have seen lots of things happening, but the reduction is not what has happened. In crime and violence has escalated. It is out of control. It is a pandemic. But we have seen the politicians get onto the stage and make promises and say things that is not true.
Yeah, and you're not trusting them with the way forward, are you? What do you expect to come out today? It's day 2, it's the last day. There is a national strategic plan that exists. The president himself admitting that it's not being implemented. You and your fellow activists are frustrated, angry, and you want to see a difference going forward. What does it look like?
Then, even yesterday on day 1, when we had the pillar, when we went into our sessions, breakaway sessions, when we came there, the outcome was we want to see real change. We want to see action. We do not want to hear what is going to happen. We want to see the difference in the figures, the reduction of violence and crime. We want to see programs that affect community-based programs. We want to, we speak about 1.6 billion that we have, I mean, where's it gone to? We want to see programs that will change the lives and reduce the violence on women and children in communities.
Yeah, so are you confident that this summit will produce implementable action or actionable items that you want?
You know, Dan, we want to, having worked for so many years in the sector, it is really, I see it in the fatigue in the activists, I see it in fatigue in women and others who run organizations. There you're just showing Steve. I mean, nothing has changed in the LGBTIQA+, the albinism, you know, different things that's come up during the summit, and still, I'm not hopeful. We know that we as communities need to organize and we need to be resourced. You know, so one of the other things that came out here, we cannot fight. So it's fund the crime, but not the crime. Yes, we need the resources to fight gender-based violence, and we're not being resourced.
Yeah, can I get your thoughts, Ms. Peters, about the role of men? Okay, the men are the main perpetrators, even as the president said, and we know it's the effect of GBV. What do you think should the role be of men going forward? The president yesterday saying there should be men's dialogue
Men
forums.
can play a huge role, Dan. You know, if I look at the drivers of gender-based violence is socialization and patriarchy. And men plays a huge role in dismantling in socialization and patriarchy. Even though we know women enable patriarchy, but we know we need religious leaders, we need men, and especially religious leaders are mostly men then. So we need men to come alongside us. We need to see more men and boys program. For years, we've been almost preaching to the converted, but we need real action programs for men and boys, and especially if we speak drivers of gender-based violence, socialization, and patriarchy.
Yeah, so in terms of funding, do you share the view that the private sector should chip in with some more, as the president asked for yesterday?
Definitely, yes, but we've also seen the business sector saying to us this morning that they've been excluded from the bill. We've seen the representative in plenary this morning stating that the Department of Women, Children and Disabilities have excluded them from making, but I'm almost sure we don't need it to be part of the bill, but we need business to come alongside. And I often say the business that benefits from the communities where this violence are should be making a contribution, and bigger businesses then even more so in the fight against gender-based violence. We can only dismantle GBVF if we all work together.
Yeah, I mean, you've engaged at the highest level in Parliament yourself, Ms. Peters, as an anti-GBV activist. You've also helped to train, I understand, magistrates, clinic staff and community leaders on the sensitivity towards survivors of GBV. Are you finding that slowly but surely we are getting a better understanding and there is proper handling of GBV cases?
Yes, definitely, Dan. You know, with the training, and that is what I was going to say, when we think of what action to be taken, we need to resource more activists to do this training in community. If we want attitudes to change, we need to train from community leaders, from the walking bus lady, from the mother or the ladies in the kitchen who serve the food, towards gender-based violence, or just the understanding. Then I've been training in OKIP last week, and so many people do not even realize or know what gender-based violence is. I've spoken to SAPS members over this month. We know that the Review Act of the Domestic Violence Act is going to be implemented from the end of November. However, we have SAPS members that do not know this, you know, and there's new things in the act that needs to be implemented, but SAPS itself, who's responsible for this, do not know that. So we need a lot of training and awareness for sure. And even like we say, magistrates.
Yes, and finally, I know you are at the summit and you need to get back, but I just wanted to give an opportunity because I see you have a blue eye, and off air you were telling me it's a particular campaign you and your fellow activists have been driving there today at the summit. Tell us very briefly about this campaign with you there with that blue eye you have.
Then I want to say that even as activists, even people here at the summit, we do not want to have uncomfortable conversations. So a few of us has been walking around today with blue eyes and bruises because it's about see something, say something. We see women with blue eyes, we see women with bruises, but we don't say anything. So see something. I want to end off by saying see something, say something.